Hi everyone in English 1301, it's Dr. E, and what I'm going to do in this video is walk you through the guidelines and expectations for the paper topic portfolio. I want to advise you just right off the bat that this is an assignment for later in the semester, but I do want you to just start thinking about it now. You may have noticed that in the schedule we now have paper topic posts for our weekly discussion posts. Those are going to differ a little bit from just our general writing discussion posts, right? So I don't want you to worry about that just now, but just know that the expectations for those paper topic posts are just like any other, but those are things that we'll then kind of revisit for this assignment. Okay, so the paper topic portfolio is just a way for us to go back to some of those posts, those ones that are only the ones that are identified as paper topic posts in the schedule, and to revisit those ideas, to revise those posts, and then to resubmit them in one collected document. Okay, so this is kind of satisfying the overall research paper requirement for our course, but it's adding a couple of elements that are really crucial in my mind. So the revision process, right, to go back and think about your work in different ways after you've written it, and as well as the peer review process, which is kind of collaboration, right? You'll be working in assigned groups to make your draft the absolute best it can be. When I say the terms peer review, sometimes that makes people stress out a little bit, and I don't want you to. If you've had bad experiences with peer review before, just delete those from your memory and think about the fact that these are just ways for us to get insight and help from one another. It's not about anybody judging your writing or judging you, certainly. It's just a way for people to help one another and just have another set of eyes, okay? I want this to really become part of your toolbox when it comes to writing, especially in college and academia, because our work will always be better if we have other people look it over, because the way we write and read will differ from other people. So somebody may read a paragraph or something that makes perfect sense to you, but the way that they read and understand ideas differs a little, and having some of that kind of feedback will help, okay? I have people who work, friends and former colleagues, people who work in business, in that industry, in the transportation industry, a lot of people who they will have their work peer reviewed before. If it's a big email going out to a lot of people or to a boss or supervisor, they will send it to somebody else and say, hey, can you give me some feedback, right? So it can be something as simple as an email, or something as big as a proposal, or, you know, some sort of manual that you're working on in your future job, or, you know, any of those things. We want to make sure that we don't just submit something really quickly without thinking about it, having our own revisions in mind, and getting somebody else's perspective. Okay, so that's the whole goal of this. What we will do is look back when this is due later in the semester, and I want you to choose 3 of the paper topic discussion posts that you wrote, okay? You'll choose 3 of them. You will revise them and put them into a single document. You're going to add 1 paragraph ahead of each of those. That's called an abstract, and the abstract is just you providing some context to your audience. So you're going to think about, you know, you're going to share in this paragraph, what was my revision process? What was I thinking at the time I wrote this? Did my ideas change? You know, what are some things that I recognize about my writing now, you know, that I'm looking back over it? So there's just 1 paragraph before each of those posts that gives your audience some insight, right? So they're not just reading 3 random posts without having some of your voice in there to talk about the whole process, okay? So that is a requirement. 3 of your revised discussion posts, 1 abstract paragraph before each, and then you'll include a works cited, because you need to include research in every one of those posts. So think about, you know, you can pull information from our course text, you can pull information from any of those articles that I ask you to read that are food related, because all of our paper topic posts will deal with food as the kind of theme, okay? So just something to think about. I'm going to briefly walk through the rubric, the chart, which you can look at on your own with more time. and then just talk generally about the guidelines, okay? So the rubric looks like, others that you've seen in our course. We are definitely sticking in this advanced or awesome range. That's going to be a high to mid A, or in the meets expectations. That's going to be maybe just at the line between A and high B, mid-range B. So these are the areas we're sticking in, okay? You will have a thesis in each of yours, which again, this is revising things that we've already worked on. Your focus is clear, you're connecting with your thesis and keeping track of that. The content that you've chosen and revised is effective, right? And you are offering information that is meaningful to the overall topic. Your ideas are organized, right? So it doesn't seem kind of haphazard. You have some organization there so that your audience can follow your ideas. And this is a big one, right? This is the sources and documenting. So even if you don't have a source in the original post from whatever week, you need to go back in and make sure that you add one to each, right? So it satisfies our research requirement and component in the class, but it also, again, adds some, importance to your own ideas because you're using, other sources to support your own ideas, which is at the root of academic writing, at college level writing, right? It's using other people's ideas, other research to support your own, right? So of course, grammar, punctuation, and spelling, this is where we get into, that peer review session is going to be really helpful in some of this, right? As well as all the other areas. So advanced grammar mechanics, remember we're using Microsoft Word or the spell check or grammar features in Google Docs or Grammarly, whatever you're choosing. And then each of your entries has an abstract paragraph, right? That's going to be in italics, right? So I say this should be italicized. And remember, italics is just, I'm going up here to the top in Microsoft Word, right? This little leaned I, so it makes your words look a little slanted. And that will indicate to me, oh, this is the abstract paragraph followed by the revised post, right? And that indicates to the audience that will help you peer review as well. Okay, I'm going to scroll down. So your goal is to go back and revisit those paper topic discussion posts, and you'll choose 3 of them, okay? You're going to revise, edit, and like I said, peer review, just asking for some help and assistance, and you'll submit those as a single document in this format, okay? You will have your draft. You will work to make those original revisions. You're going to share and peer review, right? After getting feedback from your peer review group, which I will assign you, you're going to revise again and submit to me, okay? Then I am going to provide you with feedback. So just think of that as another round of peer review. I'm just another set of eyes giving you another round of feedback. Once you receive my feedback and look it over, you'll make your final revisions and submit the absolute final version, which is worth more points than all the other steps, okay? So there's a process here. Okay, here is just a paragraph about, the idea of reusing your work in a class. Typically, this is something that really verges on plagiarism, right? We should not be recycling our own work in the same class or in different classes, but this is a part of the assignment requirement, so I'm of course giving you permission to do that. So just something to read through that talks about this, as well as the criteria here, right? So here, each entry is going to be at least 3 paragraphs. Typically our paper topic posts are more than that, so you shouldn't have to worry about length. It just needs to at minimum be 3 paragraphs, right? And it needs to utilize at least one source from our readings, right? Each entry needs a source, not just one source that you use throughout. I kind of encourage you to use multiple sources, okay? So think about Choi's article that we read, Lee's video and article, which will be upcoming, so don't worry about that just yet. Finley's video, which we're working on this week. Each entry is going to include an abstract paragraph in italics, right? And it will appear before that post at the beginning of that particular post. So I want you to think about the format here. It will go, you'll have your MLA heading and header, you'll have a title, and then you'll go into that first abstract paragraph that will then be followed by that discussion post that you've revised, right? Then after that discussion post, you'll have your next abstract that will lead your audience into your next discussion post that you revised, and so on. So it's one single document, and that's how it's structured. Okay, so remember that that abstract provides some context, right? So it gives your audience an idea of, how was your revision process? What did you do? What are you thinking now versus when you originally wrote it? Was it hard to revise, or do you feel really confident in what you originally did and you had minimal revisions? Whatever the case, right? Think about after time has passed, do you think differently about these ideas? So everyone's abstract paragraph is going to be different. So when we head into peer review, don't worry too much about how other people's abstract paragraphs look. Everybody's will be a little different. Everything follows MLA guidelines, so you'll have your heading, right, with your name, my name, the due date, all that, the header at the top of the page with the page number, a title, and that's not a title page. In MLA formatting, we don't use title pages anymore, so the title can be something as simple as paper topic portfolio, right? You'll have 12-point font in Times New Roman, and you will include the works cited. And remember that the works cited needs to include everything that you've referenced, right? So Choi's article, Finley's TED Talk, if you want to use that. So it's going to take a little bit of time and effort on your part to create those works cited. For some of them, you have or will complete those annotation exercises, and that's part of why we do those annotation exercises. We have those works cited or the citations already completed that we can just kind of copy and paste into this. So just something to think about. Okay. So that works cited page, and I have a link for the Purdue OWL site for any help with creating those citations. The portfolio will be submitted in the assignments area, and y'all remember it needs to be in one of these formats. I can't grade anything that is different from a Word file or a PDF. Okay, and I've put here that I want you to consider visiting the Tutoring Center. We have online tutoring. If you click on this link, it will take you there, and you can submit your draft to a tutor, and then they can give you some feedback, right? It's really helpful. They know, typically you're working with tutors that know me and know my assignments or have worked with me in my classes, so it can be really helpful to have another set of eyes, okay? Here is the chart from our syllabus, and I want you to note that I made some adjustments just because we lost some time with the winter storm and the after effects of that. So I removed the annotated bibliography assignment as well as the requirement to have that consultation with me. So the points have been taken away. I've redistributed the points elsewhere, and I think it works out really well in terms of the points values for these different things. I do want you to note that either though I canceled the required consultation, you can still schedule an appointment to meet with me to talk about your feedback once I give you that feedback for your draft. Okay, you'll notice that, of course, the final submission is worth more than the others. The draft is 75%, all of this. So again, this is an assignment for later in the semester, but I want you to start kind of recognizing those paper topic posts when we submit them in our weekly discussion area, okay? Because those are ones you can choose from down the line. If you do have any questions, you can always post in the Q&A discussion area of D2L. You can email me, but again, this is just a video and the rubric to kind of help you just let these ideas sink in, and it is something that we'll get more in depth later. Okay, all right, take care everyone.